Alright everybody, today we're gonna create an S3 bucket in AWS and then connect to this S3 bucket from our Nodejs server and upload our images. And we're gonna get images from the front-end part using Multer package. So let's just start doing it. So first you need to log into your AWS account, so I already did that, and then just go to the services and go to S3 or search for it here, and then click the create bucket. So here you need to give it a like unique name, right? It has to be unique. So I'm gonna call it my super S3 buckets, right? That's what I'm gonna call it, and I'm gonna stick with this region for now, and I'm gonna leave all those other settings as default, and I'm gonna create the bucket. So it's created right here, my super S3 bucket. So now I want to connect to this bucket in my Node.js server. So I created a super basic Express.js, like Node.js Express.js server here, like a super simple, right? Now I want to connect to this S3 bucket from this server, right? So in order to do that, we need to install a package called AWS SDK. Which enables us to communicate with AWS services from any server. So I'm going to install AWS SDK, and I'm going to create a new file for this purpose, like only for S3 functions, right, to make the code more maintainable. Alright, it's installed. Now I'm going to require the AWS SDK, and I want to get specifically S3 service from this AWS SDK package, because that's what we want to connect to. And I'm gonna get the S3 as a class from this package. Now we're going to create a client, actually an instance with this class, and we need to pass in the region that the bucket exists, and the access key and the secret key of the user that we want to connect with. So that means that we need to create a user in order to do that, because we don't want to connect to this AWS account as a root user, right? So let's go to our account back, and I'm gonna go to the this section to create a new user. Alright, so actually before creating a user, we need to create a policy to define the set of rules that this user will have. I mean, some permissions, right? So we need to go to the policies first in order to do that. I'm going to create a new policy. So we're going to choose a service that the user will able to access to. So I'm just going to select S3 because that's the only service that we want this user to be able to connect to, right? So actions that will user can be done. We'll just specify here. So in the read section, I'm just going to select get object, and in the right, I'm going to select put object and delete object. So that's like basically what this user should do, right? Delete object, put object, and get object. That's all it have to do. So other things aren't required, so I'm not gonna select that for security. For the resources, I'm going to add an ARN, right? Which basically will specify which buckets that will user have access to. So I'm gonna add my bucket name, which I guess my super S3 buckets, if I'm not wrong. Buckets, yeah, I hope so. And object name will be, I'm gonna select any because I basically want this user, this particular user, have access to all object within this particular bucket, right? We don't want to give any restriction for this object type, right? So I'm gonna add this ARN. You can just think those things as a set of rules like permissions. So let's go to the next. I'm not gonna add any tag, so that's next, and I'm gonna give it a name for this policy. Let's call it my policy S3 Node.js, right? Yep, that's pretty much it, and let's create the policy. Alright, here we go, we got that, and now we can go to user section and create our user. Add a user. Alright, I'm going to give a username here, so let's call it my user S3 Node.js, right? So I'm gonna select XSK programmatic access because basically we will use this user to connect to AWS account from a code, right? I mean programmatic access instead of a human access, right? Like instead of a management console access. So we will select that, right? You got the point, I guess. Anyway, so let's just go to next, and here we will basically set permissions, right? So we're gonna attach existing policies right here. So I'm gonna search for my policy S3 Node.js, which I just created for this user, and I'm gonna go next. I'm gonna add any tag. I'm not gonna add any tag. So here it just shows me the review of this user, like username, access type, and the policy that apply to this user. So I'm pretty much okay with that, and I'm gonna create the user. So at this point, this user is just created, and Amazon just gave me a access key ID and secret access key. So now I want to put those information into environment variables, into environment as environment variables. So let's just do those things. I'm gonna create a environment file here, env file. So first I'm gonna call it bucket name, right? Region, and it's going to be AWS access key ID and AWS secret access key, right? Secret access key, AWS access key ID, secret access key, yeah. So our bucket name is so let's just go to our buckets real quick right here. Alright, so here's my bucket. I'm gonna copy the name of it and paste it in here, and for the region I'm gonna copy this thing, US West 2, right here. So this is the bucket name, and this is the region that's where the bucket exists, right? So for the access key ID and secret access key, we're just gonna fill those things with our user credentials. So I'm gonna copy my access key ID and paste it in here, and now I'm gonna copy and paste my secret access key here, but I don't want to show this thing here, of course, so I'm gonna stop the video. But before that, I just want to point that out, that these both, like AWS access key ID and secret access key, like are important to type correctly, just like this, right? Like you can just change those things like bucket name and region, but those both should be like exactly like this, right? If you just type one letter wrong, AWS SDK will not be able to configure those credentials, and you will get an error, right? So just be careful with that. Like basically just write whatever right here, right? Access key ID for that and secret access key for that, and prefix with those things with AWS. And uppercase should be uppercase. So just be careful with that to not get any error, right? So that's it. Alright, I make the configuration like so. but of course we need to install .env package to really configure those things from environment. So let's install .env real quick, .env, and I'm gonna add .env right here, .env, .env, and the config method. So now we can use those variables to access those environment variables. So now we need to create a client, a user, using these credentials. So I'm gonna add region, access key ID, and secret access key. So that's all we need, right? We basically say that this user will access to this region, this particular region, and the access key and secret key of this user is that, right? So that's all we're doing here. And now we're basically created our client. So we're going to create our upload function that will get the particular file and send it to S3 and save that here. So let's create that. It's going to be a function upload file, and we're going to use S3 upload method, right? And we're going to pass in some information such as which buckets we're gonna send this file to, what the file body will be, what the name of this file will be, and all those things, right? So instead of just specifying all in here, I'm gonna create a new JavaScript object called upload params and specify those things in here. So our first parameter will be body. Like, the naming is important here because S3 will read those things, depends on some rules, and it should be body exactly like that. And our body will be, I mean, of course we need to add the stream of the image later on, but for now, for example, for demonstration, I'm gonna add, I don't know, anything, my content here. And for the key, which is actually the name of the file, I'm going to call it myfile.txt, right? And of course we need to add bucket name here, and our bucket name is that, which we configured right here, right above. So yeah, this is our upload params, and I'm going to add this upload params here. So it will return a promise, and I'm going to return this result to where this function called, right? And I want to use this function in our my main file. So I'm going to export this thing, model exports, upload file, and go to my server.js file and required here, require from S3 file. Great. So now I will create a post endpoint. It's going to be upload, or let's call it images. I don't know, doesn't matter. You can just do whatever you want, but I'm going to call it upload for now. And in here we'll basically call this upload file and get the result. And of course it will return a promise, so we need to await that, and we need to make it a synchronous function. And then we'll just send this result back to the client. And actually I also want this to log to the console, so let's do that as well, like so. Great, now let's run this function. Alright, it's running. Let's open up our Postman to try this out, or test this out. Alright, now I'm gonna send a post request to localhost 8080 / not images but uploads. So let's send that, and the moment we send that request, what will happen is actually we will call this upload file, which is this one, and it will basically upload a file using this S3 client, which is which we just connected right here using access and secret key, and we're going to use the upload method to actually upload something to the particular S3 bucket, which we just specify here, and the body of this content will be this, and the file name will be this, and like it should basically really save this particular file to our S3 bucket. So let's just send this request, right? And let me check that. It should be upload, right? Localhost uploads. Alright, we got that. So this return message just basically indicate that we successfully upload our file to S3 bucket. So let's just go to our bucket and see ourselves. So here I'm gonna go to my bucket, and here we go, we got my file.txt. Perfect, it just worked. So now actually what we want to do is get the image, real image from frontend somehow, and then upload this image actually, right? So now the next part of this video is doing that thing, right? To do that, we need to install a package called Multer, right? We're gonna install Multer. So to use Multer, we need to import that. I'm gonna import Multer, require Multer, and then we need to do something like this. Let me show you that. Destination going to be uploads, and I'm gonna store it in a upload variable. Good. Now we're basically saying that any file that we will get with Multer will store in the uploads directory within this server, right? That's basically it. So how we will use this thing? Well, we're just going to use it as a middleware. So I'm going to come here to my post request and put it in here, uploads single. So this means that we will upload a single file. So we need to pass a parameter that's like the name of this image, right? What will be the name of this image? So let's just check the front end parts before doing this thing, right? We have a really simple React app here. So let's just open a new terminal and run this React app. Go to front end and run this thing. Alright, we have a very basic form that's that we sent which, by the way, this is my image. So this basically enables us to submit a image to the server, right? And we're gonna get those images with Multer. So in here, I'm not gonna deal with all those front-end codes because we're just focusing on the backend for now. But what we're doing is basically getting the image from this form, and in here we just put this image with the my image name. This is important, that's what we're gonna focus on, as a form data, and then we're just making a post request to this images. It can be uploads, right? It can be images. Let's change it to images, man. It doesn't really matter. We're just making post request to images endpoints and sending this form data as a multi-part form data, right? So that will enables us to pick the image from server. So I'm gonna use this my image key or tag, whatever you call it, right, in here. So that will basically Multer get this image and save it to the uploads directory as a binary data. So let's just try it and see ourselves. So in here I'm gonna choose a file. So I'm gonna select my image, and let's open the networks tab actually to see the network activity. I'm gonna clear that. So let's submit that. Alright, we're gonna error. Let me see that. Request images localhost 8080. Localhost 8080. Yeah, just because we didn't start our server, right? That's the problem. So let's just try this again. All right, we got that. And yeah, we set a post request. Status code is okay, right? 200. And payload is my image, right? This is the name of tag of the image, and it's binary. And the response is this. And if we check our console, we get the same thing, which indicates that this is actually uploaded to server. But actually this is not the case, because what uploaded to server is actually this dummy data file, because we didn't make any modification here. But if we just check our server file system, we have an uploads folder, and within that we have this image as a binary data, right? But eventually, like, we got that image in our server, and now we can upload this image to our S3 bucket instead of this dummy data. So let's do that. So in here, actually I want to convert this binary data to readable stream, and in order to do that, I want to, or I need to, because I need that, I need to import fs module from Nodejs to do that task fs, right? And in that function, I'm gonna say fs create read stream, and I need to actually get this file, right? So alright, we're just getting right, before doing those things, let's just delete that. Actually, before that, we need to get some information about this file that Multer uploaded to our server, right? So we will get those information from request.file. Multer put all those information to this file object in the request, but in the request object. So we can just get those things like that, and let's console log those things to see the details about it. So I'm just going to basically comment this to prevent uploading to S3 bucket for now, because we just don't want that now. So let's just run this again, and I want to send this image again. Right, what's happening? Let me see that. Oh yeah. Just call it OK. Let's do that again. Let's submit that. Alright. So we basically get the information about this image that has been saved to our file system by Multer. So this is field name, my image, right, that was specified in the front end. This is the original name, and there's actually two information that we're actually interested in: file name and the path where this file actually exists, right? So this is the file name that Multer created for us, and we can actually use that particular name in our S3 bucket as well. We don't have to create a new name for every single image, right? We can just use this random ID name that Multer created. And we can use this path to actually get the image from this particular path and create a readable stream using fs module. So let's do that. And in order to do this, we need to just uncomment that first and send this file information, file object, to this upload file function. So we can just get it here and use it to create a readable stream using this path key, right, which is here. So we will basically get the file and then create a readable stream, and I'm gonna store it in a variable called file stream, right? So now instead of adding a dummy content here, I'm gonna add my file stream, which is actually the image itself, right? And as a key, which is the name of the file, I'm going to add the file name, right, which is exactly this one that Multer created. So it looks more dynamic now, right? So now if I actually send this request to images endpoint again, it should get the image that I sent, that I will be sending from frontends, and save this image to S3 bucket as a real image. So let's go there and try this again. Let's refresh the page, clear the networks, choose the file, and submit that. So it's pending. Yep, we got OK, and in here, yeah, this is the return message from Molter. And actually we didn't use result, but it doesn't matter. If I go to my bucket now, I should see that. Alright, we got that with the name of the Molter created for us. So our images just saved in here, right? You can understand with the size of the file, right? But if you just try to open it and go to the object URL, you will basically get access denied error, because by default it is denied to access publicly. You can make it available publicly, but in terms of security, what you would do is actually instead of making it public, you would just getting files with the server and send them back to the front end, right? So with that way, it would be more secure, right? So that's what we're gonna do now. Now I'm gonna create a new endpoints for getting the image back from our S3 buckets, right? So let's do that. It's going to be images plus not ID, a k, a parameter, right? So let's do that, request response, and I want to get the k, params k. So we will basically specify the k, the name of the file, and then we're just going to use this k to search in our S3 buckets to get the particular file image and send this image back to the server and then back to the client, right? That's how the system will work. So I'm going to create a new function here. It's going to be download function, actually, not download but get, right? We're not going to download anything. Actually we are, but anyway, it's going to be, let's call it get file, or you can call it download file as well, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna get the key, right? And then what I want to do is like create a downloads params, right? Just like similar to this one, right? And in here we will specify our bucket name again, but we don't have to specify the body, and as a key we're just going to use this key that we will get throughout the params in the URL, right? And then I'm going to use my client to get the file, get object, and I'm going to put to get download params here, and it will not return promise actually, but instead it will return a create read stream, kind of like that, right? And let's return this thing. So let's export this function as well and import it in here. So here let's do that thing, results, get the file, and we're just gonna pass the key, and after that we're just going to say result type res. Alright, so what's going on here? Well, we will get the key in the parameter and like pass into get file function, and in here we'll like get this key, right? Like using the get object, and after getting the file, we will convert it to a real object, like real image object, using this create read stream, and return this like that. And after that, we will store in a result, and using the pipe method, we will actually convert this stream object to a real human readable image object and send it as a response, right? We're just working with images, so it's not like a text information, right? It's kind of different. We need to store images differently, like using streams, like create read stream, and that we're just getting them, and we need to convert to another format to like human readable format, right? It's just kind of different. So you gotta get used to that. But that's it. That's the workflow, right? So let's just try and see. And in order to do that, for now, I'm gonna do it statically, but I'm gonna go to my front end, and at the end of all the codes, I'm gonna add the image tag here, and my source, like right here, my source will be images, and the key of the file image in the S3 bucket. Alright, just like this. So it will basically send a request to localhost 3000 images, this key, and it will proxy into localhost 8080, which is our backend server, and it will get this here, like listen for here, and send this key to this function, and this function will look for this particular key in this particular bucket, and then get the image, create a read stream, and then return it back, and we're just gonna return the human readable image as a response. So we will get the real image in this image tag, and we should see the image like a real image on our screen. So let's go and try this out. Yep, we just got that. Perfect. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, as you can see, we just send a request to this thing, right? Preview, yeah. We just send a request to localhost 3000 images and this like particular KID, and it's proxying to localhost 8080 because we added as a proxy in our package.json, like localhost 8080. It's proxying to this, and we got the image that is uploaded in our S3 bucket, which is perfect, what we want, right? So let's try another one. So let's choose a new file. Let's go to pictures. I'm gonna select the Nest.js PNG, and I'm gonna submit that. Alright, so we got that, and yep, it's okay. So it's uploaded. Let's refresh the page. Alright, we got the new image and the key. Let's copy the key and replace with the previous key, and now we should see the Nest.js logo instead of my image, right? So let's just refresh the page, and here we go. We got the Nest.js image. Perfect, right? That's just whole thing. Great, amazing, awesome. Great. Yeah, like we're just like uploading the image and getting the image back from our API, right? None of them are public, right? We're just controlling all of them within our backend server. So this just gives us more control over the resources, right? So yep, that's it. And lastly, we actually delete those images from our uploads file folder once we send them to S3 buckets, right? Because like it's just not optimized, right? We just need to remove them once we're done with them in our server. So alright, we need to actually import the fs library here, fs, and I'm gonna get the fs like that, and then we will get the require library as well. I mean, not require, the util library, right? The util library, and put it on the util, and then util promisify fs unlink. I'm gonna assign it to a function called unlink file. So like this fs unlink method will basically create a kind of function that will enable us to unlink a file from a file system, like basically remove it, right? And we can use this function in our here in the post routes. Like after we set this to S3 bucket, we can actually unlink this from our file system. So after this thing, right, I can actually say wait unlink file, and I will specify the file path to like go to this file and remove it from this path, right? So I'm just going to say file path. So that's pretty much the whole thing. And in order to see the changes, I will just delete the files from this uploads directory. Now it's empty. Now let's upload the new image. Not this one. Actually, yeah, it just no. PM starts. Alright. Uploads results. We can actually, not about that, but we can log the results to the console to see the result back, but it's not necessary, by the way. Anyway, just keep that in mind. So just choose a file. I'm gonna select my Docker PNG and just submit that. Alright, we got that. Okay, and we got, yep, that's pretty much it, right? We sent the Docker image to S3 bucket. Let's see that. And just right after that, our system, this function, just removed the file from this upload directory. So yeah, it just saved in here. And like for demonstration, if I copy this thing and replace it in here, and if I just go to my React app and refresh, I should see the Docker image. There we go. We got this little pretty Docker logo. Perfect. Now we're just getting the, like, let's summarize it, right? We're just getting the images from our front-end application, and with Multer we just save those images into our server file system, and after that we send those images to S3 buckets, right? And then we just remove those images from our file system for optimization, right? Because we don't want unnecessary files in our server. And yep, that's pretty much it with the uploads part. And then whenever our client wants to see an image, it sends a GET request to this particular route, and we get this key and go to S3 bucket and search for this file and get it back and send this to client. That's the whole process, right? That's it. This is how you upload images to S3 buckets and get them back and send them back to clients. That's the whole process. Pretty much it. I hope you learned something, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye bye.